Hello, YouTube. I'm Vince White. I'm an employment attorney, and on this channel, well, we answer publicly posted questions from YouTube users, getting folks the answers they need from an employment attorney. You may notice my hair is out of control. That is because today is a travel day. In fact, notably, notably to the question, to the discussion today, today is Thursday. Excuse me, the 6th of April, 2023, which is the day after Passover and the Thursday before Easter. This matters because a friend of mine, an acquaintance, just started texting me and was like, hey, this guy at work just said to me that he assumes I'm off tomorrow. And I think he's making assumptions about my faith. I'm like, okay. I just responded, okay, I'm sorry that annoys you. My acquaintance goes on, do you think I have a case? I'm like, well, what faith do you think he's assuming you are? And the acquaintance says, well, obviously, Catholic. I'm like, well, that's a leap. Especially Catholic is a big leap because, listen, Friday is, I believe, based on my Catholic heritage, I believe a holy day of obligation. So it's a day that you need to go to church, but it's not a day, if I remember my Catholic school upbringing, where you're not allowed to work, right? It's not a Sabbath day. And I don't really think that Catholics even hold the Sabbath holy in that way anymore, at least not in the U.S., but based on my understanding, you can work on Good Friday. And I kind of was like, well, why would you say Catholic is the assumption? I mean, Passover's yesterday. A lot of people take long weekends for Passover because they know all the Christians are going to kind of be out because they got Easter coming up. Passover lined up with Easter this year a little bit. It was a Wednesday before Easter, so you take Passover, you stay out till Monday. That's a nice long weekend. That's a very nice holiday. Or, again, why would you say Catholic? I mean, there's an awful lot of Christians who celebrate Easter. I might take a long weekend. And not for nothing, a lot of atheists are just aware that the world kind of slows down right now. Everybody's going out for the religious holiday, and atheists say, I think I'll have me a long weekend. Why not? I lose less time from work, and there's nobody here anyways. So I can't get anything done, so I may as well take the day off. The extra days. And my acquaintance said, no, he thinks I'm Catholic. I was like, okay. Well, I gave you some reasons why that might not be the assumption to make. Do you have a reason why you think it is? And the response was, well, I look Irish. Okay. Okay. Do we have... And I cleared this with my acquaintance first, obviously. I'm not just being mean here. I said, hey, this is a humorous back and forth. Can I post this? And the acquaintance was like, you're an asshole. Yeah, go ahead. So I am, and I did. So I say to the person, okay, so do you have a specific reason, why you think this is the case? Is this harming you in some way? Well, this guy's of such and such heritage. So I think he's making assumptions about me, and I think he thinks less of me because he's making these assumptions about me. Well, that is quite a leap. Do you have a negative workplace consequence? Because generally that's something that's required for a case. You actually have to have a consequence in the workplace, one that harms you. Think loss of money, loss of opportunity, loss of standing, right? These negative, bad working conditions. There's a lot of things it can be, but it's got to be negative in some way, some tangible way, right? And so my acquaintance says to me, well, no, he'll get me later. I'm like, okay, well, call me when he gets you. I don't tell you, we're not Minority Report here. We don't have the machine to tell us that this guy in the future is going to discriminate against you in the workplace, right? We're not future cops. We don't run around starting employment discrimination cases because we think you might engage in employment discrimination. in the future. That's not what we do here. And of course, my acquaintance said, okay, I hear you. I'm going to call another attorney, though. I was like, that sounds like a beautiful idea to me. If you could not call me anymore about this, that sounds amazing. And we're still on good terms, but it was just like kind of a useful tongue-in-cheek example for people, because I do get a lot of calls. I get a lot of calls like, I think this person thinks X about me. And do I have a case? Okay, well, okay. So, like, we can have that conversation, but what I would like you to come to your attorney with in that conversation is two things. A real evidentiary reason, something you can actually present to a judge or a jury saying, hey, this is why I think this person thinks this about me. Because you can have a perceived religious discrimination claim, right? That's a real thing. You can say, hey, this person thinks we'll stick with Catholic, because I'm Catholic, technically. This person thinks I'm Catholic, and they hate papists, so, like, that's why they fired me. That's a claim. If you can prove it, if you can prove those elements, they think I'm Catholic, they hate Catholics, and bad things happen to me as a result. Well, we have the elements of a claim. That is a perceived religious discrimination claim, right? Notably, in this scenario, my friend, my acquaintance, didn't really have any of those. What my acquaintance had was an irksome inkling, right? Like, they're like, I'm annoyed, and I think this thing might be happening. Okay? I think annoying things happen all the time. I'm in New York. I think everything that happens in New York is annoying and designed to my detriment. It doesn't mean I'm correct, and it doesn't mean people are targeting me for discrimination, right? Like, this is, it's not the same thing. We're not talking about the same thing here. So, if you're gonna have this conversation, if you're gonna have one of these, so and so thinks I'm off, and so I want to sue. Okay. What do you think the form of discrimination is? What makes you believe that is discrimination you're experiencing? And what's the bad thing that happened to you as a result? Very simple. We got to hit the elements. And if we have the elements, we have a conversation. We can talk about it. Maybe it's a case we want to bring. Maybe it's not. But we're talking about something real. Something we can, like, sink our teeth into and actually talk about and, like, go back and forth and say, oh, I don't know if I can convince a jury about that. Or, ooh, yeah, I see what you're saying there. I might be able to work with that. We got to flesh it out a little bit. Let's work on it. Let's talk about it. But, like, maybe we have something, right? I mean, these are the conversations you can have once you have your elements. If you don't have your elements, you just have a time-wasting conversation. You're just talking to talk. It can go nowhere. There's no elements. You can go to an attorney and say, hey, I've got 2 out of 3 elements, and, like, I need to figure out a way to flesh out the third element. Like, can we talk about that? Sure. That's also a conversation, right? I mean, it's probably not a conversation I'm going to have with you because, generally speaking, you should know what kind of discrimination you're facing and why you're facing it and what happened bad to you. But, you know, I get it. If you're like, well, okay, so I do really, really believe discrimination is happening, and here's the bad things that happen to me. I just need to figure out how we're going to prove it's discrimination. I would have that conversation with you, right? Like, I was like, okay, well, let's look at it. Tell me more. I've got a little bit more experience at this. This might be the first time in your life you're engaged in this thought process, whereas I've done it, 450 times a year for about a decade now. Let's take a crack at it. Let's get to work. Let's take up the hood, see what we can find, kick around some ideas. We'll talk about it, right? Anyways, I think it's the day before Easter when you see this. If you celebrate, happy Easter. If you don't, if you celebrate other holidays, happy those holidays. If you don't celebrate any holidays, happy time off that I hope you have. Bye, everybody. Oh, if this was helpful, like, subscribe, comment down below. Helps me to help more people just like you. If you have comments, if you have thoughts, if you disagree, let me know in the comments down below. I will track those comments. And remember, everybody works. Not everybody wins.